We live in a society which is driven by an internalized belief that a better life is achieved by attaining more and better of things we already have. More influence, more money, more time off, more attractive car, a more contemporary kitchen, a more youthful face. The desires for more and better are natural. They are human. They can drive us to progress. They can motivate us and push us to higher levels of achievement. But they can also be extremely unhealthy. When the push for more and better become the focus of our lives and the measure of our self-worth, we set ourselves up for endless disappointment and ongoing cycles of discontentment. Sadly, in our society, which is so manipulated by consumerism and the, hey, look, my life is so much better than yours world of social media, this internalized need for more and better can permeate our worldview and shape how we interact with each other on a daily basis. For so many of us, the lens through which we see and measure ourselves does not allow us to feel okay with the way that things really are. And more often than not, things are not as great as we see being promoted on TV or posted on Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram. The truth is that it is very, very difficult not to compare ourselves with others. And when we do, especially when it looks like our friend is, in such a better place, or those that we are seeing on social media having a more enjoyable, stable, and easy life, it's not uncommon. Perhaps it's very natural to ask ourselves, well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my job, my marriage, my life? Rosh Hashanah and the days of awe which follow provide us with an annual opportunity to figure out what really matters most, and then sort through those things and understand what really is in our realm of control to change. We do this in order to maximize our capacity for personal growth. During this High Holy Day season, our tradition challenges us to be honest and forthright with ourselves. And through introspection and a season of penitence, we are encouraged to take an honest look at who we are. As we imagine God on high, thumbing through our books of life, we are reminded that our shortcomings will eventually catch up to us if we do not face them head on. These holy and awesome days are here to help us take accountability for our problems, and the ways in which we choose to address them can ultimately help us navigate a path towards change and growth. But this can only happen if we take the time to work through the pain. I have a very dear friend. I've known him ever since my childhood, whose inability to acknowledge his shortcomings has plagued him throughout his life. For purposes of anonymity, let's just call him Shmuley. Shmuley's biggest challenge was and continues to be his inability to fully be honest with himself and take accountability for his shortcomings. Throughout his adult years, Shmuley was always in pursuit of the next big thing. He dropped out of college to pursue a dream in creating a high-end women's shoe store. Then he went on to be a major buyer for a big electronics store. Then for many, many years, Shmuley was working in women's fashion. He dabbled in this, he dabbled in that, going from one job to the next. Shmuley was always on the go, always in the hunt for the next endeavor that would make him rich. He was always looking for that next big thing. But that next big thing never happened, because nothing ever Shmuley did really went anywhere. Not because Shmuley didn't have the talent. He did. He does. He's a really smart guy. Not because he's not the kind of guy you would want to hire for any job that you would have. Because he's got the gift of gab. He could do just about everything. He just was all talk, no action. And his biggest problem was he had absolutely no tolerance for pain. All businesses go through growing pains, and everyone gets bored. Everyone gets burned out over the course of a career. But success and growth only come if we are able to weather the storm and learn from our pains, learn from our failures, learn and grow from the suffering that comes with the time that we invest in our endeavors. But not for Shmuley. As soon as things got tough in every business endeavor he ever undertook, he simply changed jobs, setting his sights on more and better, on faster and easier. Shmuley always quit, or worse, was let go. Shmuley was always chasing a dream, never working in the present. And because he has never been willing to fully accept accountability for his lack of follow-through, he continues to repeat those same patterns, going from job to job again and again and again. We all have a little bit of Shmuley in us. None of us enjoy pain. None of us enjoy suffering. None of us enjoy failure. And all of us are guilty of failing to take full accountability for our shortcomings. But the truth is that we all suffer. We all have pain in life. We all fail. These are the realities that we simply face by living. Our challenge is to figure out how to respond to these realities in ways which lead to growth, meaning, and purpose. These high holy days call us to accountability. We must take accountability for our suffering. We must take accountability for our failings. We must take accountability for every choice we make in this journey that we engage through the chapters and pages of our lives. This is not to say that we are always at fault for what happens to us. We're not. To do so would to be blaming victims all the time. There are many factors which account for where we are today, and many factors that may play into our circumstances. We may have an illness. We may have suffered from some kind of abuse. We may have experienced some kind of life-changing trauma. We may have been broken by some kind of misfortune. Certainly, these and so many other factors may be at fault for the pain and suffering that we endure. There is indeed so much that can be blamed on the past. But it is incumbent upon us, and these high holy days remind us of this fact, to remember that we always have choice in the present. In fact, it is how we react to our circumstances, how we choose to see things despite our past, despite our suffering, despite where we have failed, that ultimately enable us to grow and move forward in healthy ways. My niece Mackenzie suffers from a very rare form of muscular dystrophy called Bethlehem myopathy. And this was exacerbated by a severe case of scoliosis. These debilitating conditions were not Mackenzie's fault. But how Mackenzie has chosen to respond and continues to respond to these conditions are her choices alone. She chooses not to allow her disabilities to prevent her from forming friendships. She has used social media for years to bond with others her age and has developed friendships to the point that one of her closest friends over social media, who lives in Amarillo, Texas, came and spent 3 weeks with her this past summer, just hanging out, having fun, and being together. While attendance in school is complicated and compromised, Mackenzie has remained a diligent, hard-working student online. She could choose to stay in her room when her family gathers at the pool, but she chooses to join them outside and have fun and embrace life, despite the fact that she has her physical limitations. Every day, Mackenzie makes a choice, and in doing so, she faces her challenges with honesty and with courage. She recognizes her limitations, but she also makes a personal choice not to let these personal limitations affect what she can indeed do. Learn, swim, engage with friends on social media, develop long-lasting relationships. And she has even promised to come back to Sunday school this year. Mackenzie, I know you're watching on streaming. I'm holding you to that. None of us want grief. None of us want pain. None of us want to suffer. But unfortunately, grief and pain and suffering are simply part of life. And when it comes, each of us has the choice on how to respond. A significant focus of these high holy days is on managing the choices that we make. We are afforded this sacred time to prioritize what matters most in our lives. What are our values? What are our dreams? What can we do to make our choices in the present as effective and life-changing as we possibly can? As we journey through these days together as a community, the following 3 truths may help us in setting our priorities straight and gaining perspective. Truth number 1, we need to accept the reality that pain and suffering are part of life. Truth number 2, no matter how bad things may be, no matter how bad that pain and suffering may get, we are afforded the capacity to choose how to respond. And truth number 3, it is important to focus our choices on things that we can actually change. And the truth to the matter is, we can only change ourselves. And so we need to take full accountability for our lives. In these days ahead, may we be honest with ourselves, sincere in our resolve to improve, and courageous enough to respond to our trials and tribulations with choices that lead to healing, growth, and peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so.